Hey guys, and welcome to us. Tonight we begin a soft exploration, a tender journey into the landscape of your inner world, specifically focusing on the beautiful and sometimes complex trait of emotional sensitivity. Imagine your mind as a still pond, and sometimes the smallest pebble of an event creates ripples that spread far and wide, touching every shore of your awareness. Or perhaps you feel the world as a symphony, each note, each subtle shift in harmony, resonating deeply within your soul. You might notice the faint scent of rain before it arrives, or the almost imperceptible change in someone's tone of voice, things that others might easily overlook. It's a soft reminder that it's okay to feel these waves of emotion, these rich and sometimes intense sensations, and tonight we'll explore them with kindness. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you, so feel free to share that in the comments below. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself here, perhaps with a quiet curiosity, a gentle pull towards understanding this part of yourself that experiences the world with such depth. This emotional sensitivity, this heightened awareness, isn't a flaw or a weakness. It's more like possessing an intricate and finely tuned instrument. Think of it that way for a moment, an instrument capable of perceiving the subtlest nuances, the faintest melodies, the most delicate shifts in the emotional atmosphere around you. This instrument allows you to experience life in high definition, with a richness and vibrancy that can be truly breathtaking. The colors might seem a little brighter to you, the music a little more moving, the joy a little more ecstatic, and yes, sometimes the sorrow a little more profound. Many of us find that we process the world with a certain depth, and that's truly okay. It's part of what makes you, you. You might notice the way sunlight filters through leaves, creating patterns that dance and shift, and feel a genuine sense of wonder. Or you might feel the unspoken emotion in a room almost as if it's a tangible presence, a shift in the air pressure, a subtle current you can sense. This capacity to feel deeply means you also connect deeply with art, with nature, with other people, with the very pulse of life itself. It's perfectly natural if you've sometimes felt like you experience things more intensely than others around you. You're simply tuned to a different, perhaps more sensitive frequency. This sensitivity can mean that the everyday world, with its constant stream of information and stimulation, can sometimes feel a bit much. The chatter in a busy cafe might feel like a cacophony, the bright lights of a store a little too glaring, or the emotional undertones of a seemingly casual conversation might linger with you long after it's over. You might find yourself needing moments of quiet solitude to recalibrate, to allow your system to process all that it has taken in. This isn't antisocial, it's self-preservation. It's your inner wisdom guiding you to create the space you need to feel balanced and at ease. Think of it as allowing that finely tuned instrument of yours a moment to rest, to be gently polished and cared for, so it can continue to create its beautiful music. Our core insight for this gentle beginning is just that. Emotional sensitivity is like having this exquisitely responsive internal instrument, one that registers the world with profound detail and depth. It's not about being too emotional or too fragile. It's about experiencing a broader spectrum of sensory and emotional information. This instrument allows you to perceive the delicate beauty in a single dewdrop, to feel the profound empathy that bridges hearts, to understand intuitively what often goes unsaid. Like any precious instrument, however, it thrives with understanding, with gentle handling, and with an appreciation for its unique capabilities and needs. This journey isn't about changing who you are or trying to mute that instrument, but about understanding its melodies and learning how to play it with grace and how to protect it with kindness. Now, allow yourself a gentle moment of reflection. Perhaps you can gently recall a time when your sensitivity allowed you to notice something subtle and beautiful that others might have missed. It could be a fleeting expression on a loved one's face that told you more than words ever could, or a quiet detail in nature that filled you with a sense of peace, or the underlying emotion in a piece of music that transported you. What was that like for you? Don't analyze it too much, just allow the feeling of that memory, that moment of keen perception, to be present with you for a breath or two. There's a unique gift in that awareness, a quiet strength. You might have found that navigating a world not always designed for such sensitivity can sometimes be tiring, or even lead to moments of feeling misunderstood. Perhaps you've been told to not take things so personally or to toughen up. Such comments, though sometimes well-intentioned, can miss the fundamental nature of your experience. It's not a choice to feel deeply, it's an intrinsic part of your wiring, a core aspect of how you meet and interact with the world. Know that this sensitivity, while perhaps sometimes challenging, also brings with it incredible gifts of perception, empathy, creativity, and a deep capacity for connection. These are not small things, they are profound strengths that enrich your life and the lives of those you touch. As we begin to explore this terrain together, remember to be exceptionally gentle with yourself. You are learning the language of your own unique experience. There's no right or wrong way to feel, only your way. The goal is simply to listen, to understand, and to cultivate a sense of inner calm and acceptance around your emotional nature. We are not aiming to build higher walls, but to weave a softer, more understanding inner landscape where your sensitivity can be seen not as a burden, but as a source of profound insight and gentle strength. Allow yourself to simply be in this moment with all your beautiful, intricate ways of perceiving and feeling the world. The journey of understanding is just beginning, and it unfolds one gentle step, one soft breath at a time. And as this journey of understanding unfolds, with each gentle step and soft breath, you begin to notice not just the overall nature of your sensitivity, that beautifully tuned instrument we spoke of, but also the specific notes, the particular currents that can cause its strings to vibrate with more intensity. These are what we often call emotional triggers. Those subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, cues from your inner or outer world that can stir your emotions, occasionally quite suddenly and powerfully. Think of them as specific breezes that can create ripples on that calm pond of your mind, or particular sounds that resonate strongly with your unique instrument. Mapping these emotional currents isn't about bracing for impact or building defenses. Rather, it's a soft act of self-discovery, of becoming more familiar with your own inner landscape. These triggers can be surprisingly varied. Sometimes they are obvious, a direct criticism, a scene in a movie that reminds you of a difficult time, or perhaps a place filled with potent memories. But often they are much more nuanced. It might be a particular tone of voice, a fleeting scent that unlocks a forgotten feeling, the way someone phrases a question, or even an internal trigger, like a recurring thought pattern or a sudden vivid memory that seems to surface from nowhere. You might notice a shift when you're feeling rushed, or when plans change unexpectedly, or even when the lighting in a room feels a certain way. It's a very human experience to have these personal sensitivities, these specific things that resonate more deeply with us than they might with others. These triggers often have roots in your past experiences, your learned associations, or perhaps they touch upon unmet needs or deeply held values. They're like little flags marking significant spots in your personal history or your emotional makeup. It's not that you're flawed for having them, it's simply that your life experiences have shaped you, creating these sensitive points. You might find, for example, that a certain kind of silence makes you feel uneasy, or a particular type of news story leaves you feeling unsettled for hours. There's no judgment here, only gentle observation. This process of discovery is a gentle one, not an interrogation of your past, but a kind noticing of your present experience. It's about understanding what makes your unique emotional symphony swell and what makes it quieten. When a trigger is activated, you might feel an immediate shift within you. It could be a sudden warmth rising in your chest, a tightening in your throat or stomach, your heart beginning to beat a little faster, or perhaps a sense of wanting to withdraw, or conversely, to speak out very quickly. The emotion itself can feel quite consuming in that moment, whether it's a wave of sadness, a flash of irritation, a pang of anxiety, or a sense of being overwhelmed. It's like a specific frequency has been hit and your whole system responds. Recognizing these initial internal signals is a key part of mapping these currents. Our core insight here is that emotional triggers can be viewed as messengers or signposts rather than as enemies to be vanquished. They are pieces of neutral information, though the feelings they evoke might not feel neutral at all. These triggers are pointing towards something within you that is asking for gentle attention. Perhaps a place that is a little tender, an old belief that is being challenged, or an aspect of your experience that is seeking understanding. When you begin to see them in this light, not as threats, but as valuable information, their power to overwhelm you can slowly begin to soften. You start to create a little space between the trigger and your response. Now, let's try a small, gentle thought exercise. Think for a moment about a very small, seemingly insignificant thing that sometimes shifts your mood unexpectedly. Perhaps it's a particular sound like a persistently dripping tap, or a certain type of news story that always catches your attention, or even a specific time of day when you notice your energy dips. Can you just gently notice it without judgment, almost like a curious scientist observing a fascinating phenomenon? What is one such subtle cue for you? Hold it in your awareness for a moment, not to dwell on it, but simply to acknowledge its presence as one of your personal emotional currents. There's no need to change it or fix it right now, just to see it. This act of noticing, of mapping, is an ongoing, gentle practice. It's like becoming a careful cartographer of your inner world. You might start to observe, with a light touch, what was happening just before you felt a strong emotional shift. What were you seeing, hearing, thinking, or doing? There's no need for intense scrutiny or self-criticism. If you miss it, that's okay too. This isn't a test. It's an invitation to curiosity. Recognizing your triggers doesn't mean you're broken or too sensitive for having them. It means you're becoming more attuned to your own intricate inner workings, like a skilled musician learning every nuance of their instrument, understanding which conditions help it produce the clearest, most harmonious sound. Often, your body will give you the first subtle clue that an emotional current has been stirred, even before your conscious mind fully registers it. Remember how we touched on the body's quiet wisdom in the last section? You might feel that subtle clench in your jaw, a sudden coolness in your hands, or a slight shift in your breathing pattern. These physical sensations are like the early tremors before a larger emotional wave. By learning to tune into these fainter signals, you give yourself a precious few moments of awareness, a little more space to choose how you wish to respond to the trigger, rather than being carried away by an automatic reaction. And remember, this isn't about trying to eliminate all triggers from your life. Some are simply part of the human experience, part of interacting with a complex world and complex people. Instead, the intention is to change your relationship with them, but to understand them and to soften their impact over time so they don't hijack your sense of peace. It's about learning to navigate these currents with more awareness and self-compassion, so you feel less like you're at their mercy and more like you're gently guiding your vessel through them. Each time you notice a trigger with this kind of awareness, you are empowering yourself, little by little, to meet your experiences with greater calm and understanding. This gentle mapping is the next layer in truly embracing and caring for your sensitive nature. And as you become more attuned to these emotional currents, this gentle mapping we explored, you'll likely notice that your physical self often speaks the language of your feelings with a remarkable, quiet wisdom, frequently offering the very first clues. It's almost as if your body is the most sensitive part of that finely tuned instrument, vibrating with the faintest emotional breeze, even before your conscious mind fully registers the shift or the presence of those triggers we were just discussing. This isn't a metaphor as much as a physiological reality. Your emotions are not just thoughts or ethereal states. They are deeply intertwined with your physical being, creating tangible sensations that you can learn to recognize and understand. Think about how readily your body responds to your inner world. When you feel a surge of nervousness, you might notice that classic sensation of butterflies in your stomach, or perhaps your palms become a little clammy. When a wave of sadness washes over you, there might be a palpable heaviness in your chest or a certain fatigue in your limbs. Joy can bring a lightness, an openness, a warmth that spreads through you. And stress, that common companion in modern life, often announces itself through a tightening in your shoulders, a clenched jaw, or perhaps your breathing becomes a little more shallow, residing higher in your chest. It's completely normal for your body to register emotions, those emotional currents we talked about, often before your mind fully catches up or puts a name to the feeling. Your body doesn't try to rationalize or analyze, it simply reflects your inner state with an almost childlike honesty. Beyond these more commonly recognized signals, there are a host of subtler physical cues that your body might offer. You might notice a slight, almost imperceptible tensing around your eyes when you're concentrating hard or feeling a bit wary. Perhaps there's a subtle restlessness that settles in your legs when you're feeling impatient or anxious, or a sudden feeling of warmth or coolness in your ears or the back of your neck when an emotion is stirred. Sometimes it's a change in your energy levels, a sudden dip that signals emotional exhaustion, or a surprising burst that accompanies excitement or anticipation. Learning to recognize these more nuanced signals is like learning to read the finer print of your body's messages, gaining deeper insight into your emotional experience. Our core insight here is that your body is an incredibly honest and immediate messenger of your emotional state. Learning to listen to its subtle and not so subtle signals provides a direct pathway to understanding and acknowledging your feelings, often before your thinking mind has even processed them. It's like having an internal barometer that constantly reflects the emotional weather within you. When you cultivate the ability to tune into these physical sensations, you're essentially tapping into a rich source of self-knowledge, a quiet wisdom that is always available to you. This isn't about becoming hypervigilant or anxious about every little twitch, but rather cultivating a friendly curiosity towards your body's messages, as if you're listening to a dear friend who always tells you the truth with gentle care. Let's try a very gentle moment of tuning in right now. Just for a moment, without needing to change anything at all, allow your awareness to softly scan through your body. You can keep your eyes gently closed or softly focused if that feels more comfortable. Notice your shoulders. Are they feeling relaxed or perhaps a little tense, maybe drawn up slightly towards your ears? How about your jaw? Is it feeling soft and easy, or is there a subtle tightness there? And your stomach, is it settled and calm, or perhaps a little fluttery, a little tight? Just observe these sensations or lack of sensations with a kind, open curiosity. There's no right or wrong way to feel. This is simply an opportunity to listen to what your body might be quietly communicating in this very moment. Take a soft breath. This ability to sense the internal state of your body, this inner listening, is a natural human capacity. Many of us, however, have learned to live more in our heads, perhaps becoming a little disconnected from these physical cues, especially if past experiences have made it feel safer to numb out or ignore what the body is saying. So, reconnecting with your body's wisdom is a gentle practice of returning home to yourself, of reclaiming a vital part of your intuitive intelligence. It's like relearning a language you once knew fluently, the native tongue of your physical being. And like learning any language, it takes a little time, a little patience, and a lot of gentle repetition. When you start to pay closer attention to these physical whispers, you might be surprised at how much information they offer. You might notice, for instance, that a particular type of meeting always leaves you with a tight band around your head, signaling that you need a few moments of quiet afterwards. Or you might realize that a feeling of unease in your solar plexus is often your first indication that a boundary needs to be gently asserted. Trusting these physical cues can be a profound act of self-care, allowing you to respond to your needs more quickly and compassionately. Instead of waiting until an emotion becomes overwhelming, you can notice its initial stirrings in your body and take small, kind actions to support yourself. Perhaps by taking a few deeper breaths, stretching gently, stepping away from a situation for a moment, or simply acknowledging to yourself, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit tense right now, and that's okay." This physical awareness also helps you to understand the intensity of your emotions. Sometimes a feeling might seem vague in your mind, but the strength of the sensations in your body, a racing heart, a churning stomach, trembling hands, can tell you just how powerful that emotional current truly is. This doesn't mean you need to be afraid of these sensations. Instead, they can become valuable guides, helping you to gauge what you need in that moment. As you practice listening to your body, you might find it becomes easier to differentiate between a mild concern and a deeper anxiety, or between a fleeting irritation and a more significant sense of frustration. Your body's language, once you begin to understand its dialect, offers clarity and immediacy, helping you navigate even those moments of overwhelm we spoke of earlier by grounding your awareness in the tangible truth of your present experience. And as you learn to listen to your body's quiet wisdom, that honest messenger we just explored, you also become more attuned to the subtle and sometimes not so subtle signals that indicate you might be approaching a state of overwhelm. This feeling, where even small anxieties or everyday tasks can suddenly seem disproportionately large and consuming, is a very real experience, particularly when your nature is to perceive and process the world with such depth and detail. It's like that finely tuned instrument of yours has taken in so many notes, so many vibrations from those emotional currents and sensory inputs, that its capacity to resonate clearly and calmly begins to feel strained. For you, overwhelm might not always stem from one single dramatic event. More often, it's an accumulation, a subtle stacking of many smaller things. Imagine carrying a backpack and throughout your day, various experiences, a slightly stressful interaction, a barrage of notifications on your phone, the background hum of traffic, an unresolved thought, the emotional weight of the news, even just the sheer volume of sensory information in a busy environment. Each add a small, almost weightless pebble to this backpack. Individually, each pebble is manageable, barely noticeable. But over time, pebble by pebble, the backpack becomes heavier and heavier, until suddenly one more tiny pebble, one more seemingly insignificant demand or sensation makes the load feel unbearable. That's when a small anxiety can feel like a mountain. It's a common experience for sensitive individuals to feel like their emotional cup or their sensory bandwidth fills up more quickly than others, and there's absolutely no shame in that. It's simply a reflection of how much information your system is diligently processing. The reason these smaller anxieties can loom so large is often multifaceted. Your nervous system, being so adept at picking up subtleties, is constantly taking in a high volume of data, not just from your five senses, but also the emotional atmosphere around you, those unspoken currents we touched upon. You might also find that you process experiences more deeply, thinking things through, replaying conversations, or considering various outcomes, which, while a strength, also uses considerable mental and emotional energy. This deep processing, combined with a natural tendency towards empathy, which we will explore more soon, means you're not just carrying your own pebbles, but sometimes absorbing a little of the weight from those around you too. Please know that feeling overwhelmed by seemingly small things doesn't mean you're not coping well, or that there's something wrong with you. It simply highlights how much your system is perceiving and diligently working through. Our core insight here is that overwhelm often arises not from a singular monumental stressor, but from an accumulation of unprocessed experiences, sensations, and emotions, a kind of emotional stacking, especially within a nervous system that is naturally more receptive and processes information with greater intensity. Understanding this accumulation effect can be incredibly freeing. It helps to depersonalize the experience of overwhelm. It's not that you are failing, it's that your system has reached a temporary saturation point, much like a sponge that can only absorb so much water before it begins to drip. Now, let's try a gentle reflective moment. Take a gentle moment to consider one very small thing that might be adding to a subtle feeling of pressure or fullness for you right now. Perhaps it's an unanswered email sitting in your inbox, a slightly cluttered corner in your room, or a lingering, repetitive thought that keeps circling back. It doesn't have to be big or dramatic, just one small pebble. Once you have it in mind, can you imagine just one tiny, kind micro step that might lighten that specific pressure even just a little? Perhaps it's simply acknowledging the thought, deciding to look at the email for just 5 minutes tomorrow, or moving one item from that cluttered space. The step itself is less important than the act of identifying a small source and imagining a gentle easing. When you start to feel that sense of inner fullness, that subtle hum of too muchness, there are gentle ways to soften the feeling to allow some of the water to be released from that saturated sponge. The first is simply to acknowledge the feeling of overwhelm without judgment. You might say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, and that's understandable given everything that's been going on. This simple validation can be surprisingly powerful. Then consider introducing micro breaks into your day. These aren't long holidays, just a minute or two to consciously disconnect. You could close your eyes and take 3 slow, soft breaths, or you might look away from your screen and gaze at something natural, like a plant or the sky. These tiny pauses can act like little release valves. You can also explore sensory soothing. If your environment feels too stimulating, see if you can reduce the input. Perhaps dimming the lights, turning off background noise if possible, or stepping into a quieter space for a few moments. Conversely, sometimes engaging a specific calming sense can be helpful, listening to a gentle piece of music through headphones, touching a soft blanket, or inhaling a comforting scent like lavender or chamomile. Learning to recognize the early signs of this accumulation, those bodily cues we discussed earlier, like a tightening in your chest or a quickening of your breath, is like learning to see the water level rising, giving you a chance to open one of these little release valves before it overflows. Remember, the aim isn't to become immune to overwhelm or to somehow toughen yourself against the world. Your sensitivity, that ability to perceive so much, is also the source of your empathy, your creativity, your deep connection to life. So, softening overwhelm isn't about building higher walls to block things out, but about creating more gentle outlets, more compassionate internal responses, and more sustainable rhythms for yourself. It's about learning to honor the natural limits of your system, just as you would honor the needs of a delicate and precious plant, ensuring it has the right conditions, not just to survive, but to truly flourish. By understanding the nature of this emotional stacking, you empower yourself to manage your energy and your inner state with greater kindness and wisdom, recognizing that even small acts of release can make a significant difference to how you feel. And as you become more skilled at recognizing that emotional stacking we just discussed, that feeling of your inner backpack becoming heavy, you might also start to notice how much of that weight can sometimes come from your deep connection to the feelings of others. This profound capacity for empathy, for truly feeling with another person, is one of the most beautiful facets of your sensitive nature, a core part of how that finely tuned instrument of yours resonates with the world. It allows you to understand unspoken needs, to offer comfort that lands deeply, and to forge connections that are rich with understanding and compassion. However, this same beautiful empathy can also be a delicate dance, requiring awareness and gentle skill to navigate its intensity without becoming overwhelmed yourself. When you experience empathy deeply, it's more than just intellectually understanding what someone else is going through. You might feel a literal echo of their emotion in your own body, in your own heart. If a friend is grieving, you might feel a genuine ache of sadness within you. If someone shares exciting news, you might feel a corresponding thrill of joy. It's perfectly natural for you, with your sensitive attunement and that finely tuned instrument we've spoken of, to feel others' emotions quite vividly, almost as if they are your own. This resonance is what allows you to be such a caring friend, a compassionate listener, and an intuitive presence in the lives of others. It's a pathway to profound human connection, a way of seeing and feeling the world through more than just your own eyes. Yet, this deep well of empathy can also present challenges. Sometimes, without even realizing it, you might find yourself absorbing the emotional currents around you, a phenomenon sometimes referred to as emotional contagion. You walk into a room where there's unspoken tension, and suddenly you feel tense too, even if you don't know why. Or you spend time with someone who is deeply anxious, and afterwards you carry that anxiety with you, like a subtle scent clinging to your clothes. When this happens repeatedly, or when you're exposed to a lot of distress, it can lead to empathic distress or fatigue, that feeling of being emotionally drained, depleted, or even burdened by the weight of all the feelings you've taken in. It can also become tricky to distinguish your own authentic feelings from those you've absorbed from others, which can sometimes leave you feeling a bit lost or confused about your own emotional state. This deep capacity to feel with others is a remarkable gift, even if it sometimes feels like a heavy blanket rather than a comforting warmth, and learning to manage it is key. Our core insight here is that true empathy involves understanding and sharing the feelings of another without losing yourself completely in their experience. It's about fostering a compassionate connection, not an emotional absorption or enmeshment where your own emotional boundaries become blurred. The dance of empathy lies in learning to maintain that gentle separation, that awareness of where their feelings end and yours begin, all while keeping your heart open. This allows you to be present for others in a sustainable way, offering your warmth without giving away all of your own vital energy. Let's try a gentle reflection on this. Gently bring to mind, if you can, 2 different occasions involving empathy. First, recall a time when feeling empathy for someone felt connecting, perhaps even uplifting or meaningful. You felt for them, with them, but you still felt like you. Now, see if you can recall another time when feeling empathy for someone or being around strong emotions left you feeling particularly drained, heavy, or as if you'd taken on their burden. Without getting lost in deep analysis or judging the situations, just notice if you can sense any subtle differences in how you experienced your own emotional space, your own sense of self, in those two distinct situations. Was there a different quality to your inner presence? Learning to navigate this delicate dance involves cultivating a few gentle practices. One is to remember the power of grounding, drawing on that body's quiet wisdom we explored earlier. When you feel yourself starting to get swept up in someone else's emotional tide, consciously bringing your attention to your own physical sensations, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the rhythm of your own breath can act as a gentle anchor, reminding you of your own presence. Another simple but profound practice is to gently ask yourself, when you notice a strong emotion arising, is this feeling mine, or have I perhaps picked it up from somewhere or someone else? There's no need to have an immediate answer, but the question itself can create a tiny sliver of space for discernment. You might also experiment with visualizing a soft, permeable, energetic boundary around you. This isn't a wall to keep others out, but more like a gentle filter or perhaps a luminous bubble that allows you to sense and understand others' feelings without them seeping directly into your own core being. Imagine it as being made of light, flexible, and warm, allowing compassion to flow outwards and understanding to flow inwards, but keeping your own inner space a little more contained and protected. Learning to navigate your empathy isn't about shutting it down or becoming less caring. It's about finding ways to offer your compassion in a way that doesn't deplete your own precious energy reserves, so you can continue to offer it. Finally, remember that your well-being matters just as much as the well-being of those you care for. Sustaining your empathy requires you to also offer it generously to yourself. This means recognizing when you need to step back, when you need to replenish your own emotional well, and giving yourself permission to do so without guilt. This practice of self-empathy, of treating your own feelings and needs with the same kindness and understanding you so readily offer to others, is fundamental. It's about acknowledging the effort involved in feeling so deeply and caring so much, and providing yourself with the necessary comfort and restoration. This self-care isn't selfish. It's what allows your beautiful, empathic gift to continue shining without burning you out. And this vital practice of offering your empathy and care to yourself, as we touched upon at the close of our last reflection on your empathic gift, naturally blossoms into the art of nurturing self-compassion. As someone who feels the world with such depth, whose finely tuned instrument resonates so readily with the emotional currents both within and around you, cultivating a gentle, compassionate inner voice becomes not just a comfort, but a profound source of strength, especially when those emotions feel particularly strong or when you find yourself navigating challenging moments. It's about learning to turn that wonderful capacity for kindness, which you so readily extend to others, inwards towards your own heart, your own experience. So what does this self-compassion truly mean? It's far simpler and more accessible than you might imagine. It means treating yourself with the same warmth, understanding, and gentle support that you would naturally offer to a dear friend who is suffering, struggling, or feeling inadequate. It involves three core elements woven together like soft threads. The first is self-kindness, actively comforting yourself, being gentle and patient with your perceived flaws, rather than being harshly critical or judgmental. The second is a sense of common humanity, recognizing that suffering, imperfection, and making mistakes are all part of the shared human experience, not something that isolates you or signifies personal failing. You are not alone in these feelings. And the third is mindfulness, holding your painful thoughts and feelings in balanced awareness, allowing yourself to observe them without suppressing them, but also without exaggerating them or getting completely swept away. It's so easy, especially when you feel things deeply and perhaps have been told in the past that you're too sensitive, to meet your own intense emotions or perceived failings with an inner critic rather than a comforting presence. This self-compassion is a little different from self-pity, which can sometimes keep you stuck in your sorrows, focusing on poor me. It's also distinct from self-esteem, which can often be conditional, rising when you succeed and falling when you fail. Self-compassion, however, is a steadfast friend. It's there for you consistently, offering warmth and support precisely because you are suffering or feeling inadequate, not because you've achieved something or met a certain standard. It's an unwavering source of inner comfort. Cultivating this compassionate inner voice is a practice. Like tending a small, precious garden, it requires patience and gentle repetition, especially if your default setting has often leaned towards self-criticism. Our core insight here is that self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook, avoiding responsibility, or wallowing in self-pity. It's about actively choosing to offer yourself the same warmth, understanding, and gentle support you would naturally extend to a cherished friend who is going through a hard time, especially when your own emotions feel overwhelming or when you perceive yourself as falling short of your own expectations. It's about changing your relationship with yourself when you stumble, when you feel vulnerable, or when life just feels hard. Instead of meeting these moments with a harsh internal monologue, you learn to meet them with a gentle touch and a kind word. Now, let's try a small, gentle exercise in this moment. Think of how you might speak to a dear friend who is feeling overwhelmed, perhaps struggling with their own sensitivity, or just having a really tough day. What words of comfort, understanding, or gentle encouragement would you naturally offer them? What tone of voice would you use? What would your posture be like as you offered that support? Hold that feeling of warmth and care. Now, just for a moment, see if you can turn that same tone, that same kind sentiment inward towards yourself. If there's any part of you that feels a little tired, a little stressed, or perhaps a bit self-critical right now, can you offer that part a whisper of that same kindness you'd offer your friend? Something like, "This is a difficult moment, and it's okay to feel this way. I'm here for you." Many of us find that our inner dialogue is far harsher towards ourselves than we would ever dream of being towards someone we care about. You might notice an inner critic that is quick to point out flaws, to ruminate on mistakes, or to tell you that you're not good enough or that you're feeling too much again. Learning self-compassion is about consciously choosing to cultivate a different voice, an inner ally, a compassionate companion. This doesn't mean the inner critic will vanish overnight. We'll explore that voice more later. But it does mean you begin to give more airtime, more belief to this kinder, more supportive part of yourself. You start to build a haven of warmth within. There are simple, tangible ways to practice this. Sometimes, a soothing physical gesture can be incredibly powerful, gently placing a hand over your heart or softly stroking your arm, as you might to comfort a child or a pet. These actions release calming hormones in your body and can immediately soften a moment of distress. You can also practice kind self-talk. When you notice you're struggling, you can say to yourself, "This is hard right now," acknowledging the difficulty. Or, "May I be kind to myself in this moment," setting an intention for self-compassion. And remember that sense of common humanity. Many people feel this way sometimes, or it's human to make mistakes. These phrases aren't about excusing things, but about normalizing your experience and reducing feelings of isolation. Offering yourself this kindness doesn't mean the difficult feelings will instantly vanish or that problems will magically resolve. What it does, however, is create a softer, more supportive space around those difficult emotions and experiences. It's like wrapping a tender wound in a soft, clean bandage instead of poking at it. The pain might still be there, but it's held with care, which allows it to be processed and healed more gently. This inner kindness helps you to navigate the intensity of your feelings, those powerful emotional currents, not by fighting them, but by meeting them with a profound and unwavering gentleness from within. This foundational practice of self-compassion builds your resilience and allows you to engage with the world and with your own sensitive nature from a place of greater inner security and peace. And as you continue to nurture that compassionate inner voice we spoke of, that steadfast, kind companion within, you begin to build a foundation of inner security and self-respect that naturally empowers you to take the next gentle step, learning the art of setting soft yet firm boundaries. For you, as someone who experiences the world with such depth and whose empathic gift allows you to feel so keenly, boundaries are not about building walls to shut out the world, but about lovingly tending to the perimeter of your own precious inner garden, ensuring your emotional energy is protected and your spirit has the space it needs to thrive. This is where your self-compassion translates into practical, everyday self-care. So what do these soft boundaries look like, especially for your sensitive nature? They are gentle delineations, kind yet clear communications, both to yourself and to others, about what feels okay for you and what doesn't. This isn't just about saying no to big requests, though that can be part of it. It's also about managing your time in a way that honors your need for rest and quiet, limiting your exposure to sensory inputs or emotional currents that you know drain your finely tuned instrument, and deciding how much of your emotional energy you can offer in any given situation without depleting yourself. They are subtle, often internal adjustments that help you maintain your equilibrium. It's perfectly understandable that setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable or even a bit scary at first, especially if you're naturally attuned to others' feelings or have a history of prioritizing others' needs above your own, perhaps even feeling that it's your role to absorb and smooth over difficulties for others. These boundaries are absolutely essential for protecting your well-being. They act as gentle regulators, helping to prevent that state of overwhelm we explored earlier by managing the flow of stimuli and demands on your system. They safeguard your empathic nature, ensuring you can offer your compassion without succumbing to empathic fatigue or taking on emotional burdens that aren't yours to carry. Ultimately, healthy boundaries preserve your precious energy for the things that truly matter to you, allowing you to engage with your life and your relationships from a place of fullness rather than depletion. Remember, setting a boundary is an act of profound self-kindness. It's about honoring your own needs, which is just as important, if not more so, as a starting point as honoring the needs of others. Our core insight here is that gentle boundaries are not acts of selfishness or unkindness, but essential acts of self-respect and energetic self-care that protect your well-being and allow you to engage with the world more authentically and sustainably. They define where you end and another begins, preserving your inner peace and the integrity of your own emotional space. Think of them as the loving fence around your personal sanctuary. The fence has a gate, of course, one that you can open and close consciously, allowing connection and interaction on terms that feel right and sustainable for you. It's not about isolating yourself, it's about creating a safe container for your own energy so you have more to genuinely offer. The beauty of these boundaries is that they can be both soft in their delivery and firm in their intention. You don't need to be aggressive or harsh. Often, a simple, kind statement is enough. For example, if you need some quiet time after a stimulating day, a soft boundary might sound like, "I'd love to hear about your day, but I just need about 30 minutes of quiet to recharge first, if that's okay." Or if you're feeling pressured to make a quick decision, "I need a little time to think about that before I respond." The firmness comes from your quiet commitment to honoring that need within yourself, even if it feels a little awkward at first. Let's try a gentle reflective moment. Gently consider one small area in your life where you sometimes feel your energy gets a little depleted or where you feel a bit overextended, perhaps a recurring situation or interaction. Without needing to solve it or plan a dramatic confrontation right now, just softly wonder, what might one very small, kind boundary look or feel like in that situation? What's one tiny no to something external that could be a gentle yes to your inner peace or your need for a little more space? Maybe it's deciding not to check emails after a certain hour, or kindly declining an invitation if you know you're already feeling full. There are many types of boundaries you can explore. Time boundaries, like the example above, help you protect your need for rest, solitude, or focused work. Emotional boundaries involve recognizing that you are not responsible for fixing others' feelings and giving yourself permission to step back from conversations or dynamics that feel overly draining or toxic. Energetic or sensory boundaries might mean leaving a noisy environment a bit earlier than others, or creating pockets of quiet in your day. Communication boundaries could involve deciding not to respond to messages instantly if you need space, or letting people know your preferred way of being contacted. Learning to set these gentle fences isn't about shutting people out, but about creating a safe and sustainable space within yourself from which you can more joyfully and authentically connect with others and with your own life. Of course, when you begin to implement new boundaries, especially if they represent a change in your usual patterns, you might experience some internal discomfort, perhaps a flicker of guilt or a worry about disappointing someone. This is where your practice of self-compassion becomes your closest ally. Acknowledge those feelings with kindness. It's okay to feel a bit uncomfortable. This is new for me. Remind yourself why you're setting the boundary for your own well-being, for the preservation of your energy, so you can be more present and authentic. Each small boundary you set, even if it feels imperfect in its execution, is a step towards greater self-empowerment and a more balanced, harmonious way of being in the world. It's you learning to lovingly manage the flow of life around your sensitive, precious self. And as you practice setting those soft yet firm boundaries we just explored, you begin to create more of that precious inner space, that gently protected garden where your spirit can breathe. This reclaimed territory, this haven of your own energy, then becomes the perfect ground for cultivating mindfulness, for discovering simple ways to anchor yourself in the calm of the present moment, creating little pockets of inner stillness amidst the comings and goings of your day. This isn't about adding another complicated task to your list, but about uncovering a natural capacity within you to find peace right here, right now, by simply paying attention in a particular way. In this gentle context, mindfulness is not about trying to empty your mind of all thoughts, which can often feel like an impossible and frustrating task. Instead, it's a soft invitation to pay attention to your present experience, your thoughts as they drift by like clouds, your feelings as they rise and fall like waves, the sensations in your body, the sounds and sights around you with a spirit of kindness, curiosity, and non-judgment. It's like gently resting your awareness on what is happening in this very moment without immediately trying to change it, fix it, or analyze it. You're simply allowing yourself to be with your experience just as it is. It's completely natural for your mind to wander during these quiet moments of trying to be present. The practice of mindfulness isn't about stopping thoughts, but simply about gently noticing when your attention has drifted and kindly guiding it back over and over again, with the same patience you'd use with a small child learning to walk. For you, with your finely tuned instrument that perceives so much, mindfulness can be an especially supportive friend. When you feel the beginnings of overwhelm from too many stimuli, gently anchoring your attention to something simple and present like your breath or a sound can help to ground your nervous system. It creates a little bit of space between those emotional currents or triggers we've talked about and your habitual reactions, giving you a moment to choose your response rather than being swept away. Mindfulness also allows you to observe your emotions with a bit more clarity and less intensity, noticing them without necessarily becoming consumed by them. And wonderfully, it can also heighten your appreciation for the subtle beauties of the world that your sensitivity already tunes you into, allowing you to savor those quiet moments of joy or peace more fully. This isn't about achieving a state of perfect, uninterrupted calm, but about cultivating moments of return, tiny islands of peace you can visit throughout your day. Our core insight here is that mindfulness is the gentle practice of anchoring your awareness in the present moment without judgment, creating a calm space between your experiences and your reactions, which is especially supportive for a sensitive system that processes so much information. It's about being with your experience, witnessing it with a compassionate gaze, rather than being entirely caught up and carried away by its intensity. This pause it offers is incredibly valuable. It's a moment of breathing room for your mind and heart. There are many simple anchors you can use to bring yourself into the present. Perhaps the most readily available is your own breath. You don't need to breathe in any special way. Just notice the natural rhythm of your inhales and exhales. Feel the sensation of the air entering your nostrils or mouth, the slight expansion of your chest or belly, and then the gentle release as you breathe out. Your body, with its quiet wisdom we explored, is another constant anchor. You can bring your attention to the feeling of your feet resting on the floor, the contact of your body with the chair you're sitting on, or the sensation of your hands resting in your lap. Your senses also provide immediate doorways to the present, noticing the specific sounds around you without labeling them, observing the play of light and shadow in the room, or feeling the texture of the fabric against your skin. Let's try a very brief mindful moment right now. Wherever you are, just allow your attention to softly rest on your breath for a few seconds. Notice the sensation of the air entering your body and the sensation of it leaving. No need to change your breathing in any way. Just observe one full inhale and one full exhale. And perhaps one more, just like that. What do you notice just in this brief pause? A little stillness? A slight settling? Or maybe you noticed your mind wandered, and that's perfectly okay too. The noticing is the practice. You might find that even a few conscious breaths like this, taken at various points throughout your day, can act like a mini reset button for your nervous system, offering a brief respite from the usual flow of thoughts and busyness. You don't need to set aside long periods for formal meditation unless that appeals to you. The real beauty of mindfulness for inner calm lies in weaving these small moments of presence into your daily life. You can practice mindfulness while sipping a cup of tea, really noticing its warmth, its aroma, its taste. You can practice it while walking, feeling the contact of your feet with the ground and noticing the movement of your body. You can even practice it while washing dishes, paying attention to the temperature of the water and the sensation of the soap. Remember, each moment you choose to gently bring your attention back to the present, even if it's just for a single breath, is a quiet act of nurturing your inner peace. It's like strengthening a gentle muscle of awareness. Over time, these small moments accumulate, creating a greater sense of stability and calm within you. a feeling of being more grounded in yourself even when the world around you feels a bit chaotic. This present moment awareness, this ability to pause and simply be, also creates a wonderfully supportive foundation for the next part of our journey, learning how to more consciously and gently process the emotions that move through you. And with this growing capacity for mindful presence, for resting in those calm anchors within the present moment that we just explored, you create a wonderfully supportive internal environment. This gentle, observant space becomes the perfect sanctuary for learning how to be with your emotions in a new way, not as overwhelming forces to be feared or battled, nor as states to get completely lost in, but as natural energies, as feelings in flow. For you, whose finely tuned instrument perceives such a rich spectrum of emotion, understanding how to allow these feelings to move through you with grace and without judgment is a key to deeper inner peace and resilience. You know from your own experience that your feelings can be vivid, deep, and sometimes incredibly intense. When these strong emotional currents arise, the instinct can often be twofold. Sometimes, if a feeling is uncomfortable or seems too powerful, the urge is to push it away, to suppress it, to try and not feel it, perhaps because you've learned that your emotions can be too much for others or even for yourself. Other times, especially with very compelling emotions, whether joyful or sorrowful, the tendency might be to get completely swept up in them, to fuse with the feeling and its accompanying story, replaying it over and over in your mind. It's entirely human to sometimes want to push away uncomfortable feelings or conversely, to get completely lost in them. These are common ways we try to cope when emotions feel intense. However, if we think of emotions as energy, as information moving through your system, then both suppression and over-identification can hinder their natural flow. Imagine trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes a lot of effort, and eventually it's likely to pop up with even greater force. That's often what happens when you try to suppress your feelings. They don't really go away, they just get stored, often creating underlying tension or manifesting in other ways. On the other hand, if you become completely enmeshed in an emotion, constantly feeding it with thoughts and rumination, it's like getting caught in an eddy current, going around and around without moving forward. Learning to be with your emotions in this gentle way is a skill that develops with practice, with patience, and with a great deal of self-compassion. There will be times it feels easier than others, and that's perfectly okay. Our core insight here is that emotions are essentially energy and information moving through you. They have a natural lifespan and an intrinsic desire to flow. Healthy processing involves acknowledging their presence with mindful, compassionate awareness, allowing them to deliver their potential message and move through your system without getting stuck in patterns of suppression or over-identification. When you allow this flow, you're not trying to get rid of the emotion, nor are you indulging it endlessly. You're simply creating the conditions for it to be seen, felt, and to naturally transform or pass, like a weather pattern moving across the sky. So, what helps these feelings to flow? It begins with that mindful acknowledgement we've been cultivating, simply noticing, sadness is here, or I'm sensing some anxiety right now. This gentle naming of the emotion, without judgment, can create a little bit of helpful distance, reminding you that you are experiencing the feeling, but you are not only the feeling. Then you can bring in the wisdom of your body, allowing yourself to feel the physical sensations that accompany the emotion. Where do you feel it in your body? Is it a tightness in your chest, a warmth in your face, a hollowness in your stomach? Just allowing these sensations to be there without tensing against them helps the energy to move. And underpinning all of this is that vital self-compassion, giving yourself unconditional permission to feel whatever you are feeling, reminding yourself that all emotions are valid parts of the human experience. Let's try a gentle visualization you can use. The next time a noticeable but not overwhelming feeling arises, perhaps you could gently try to imagine it as a wave in the ocean. Silently, in your mind's eye, watch it as it begins to build, see it gather its energy, notice it as it crests, and then observe as it gradually recedes, softens, and flows away towards the shore, or dissolves back into the vastness of the sea. Or, if you prefer, you could imagine the feeling as a single cloud drifting across the wide expanse of the sky of your awareness. Notice its shape, its color, its texture, and simply watch as it moves, perhaps changing its form, eventually passing out of your view. The key is to observe its movement without trying to hold on to it or push it away, just allowing it to follow its natural course. You might find that when you stop fighting an emotion or stop endlessly feeding its storyline and instead just allow it to be there, held in your kind awareness, it often loses some of its sharp edges, some of its overwhelming intensity. It may begin to soften and shift on its own, much like a tightly clenched fist will eventually relax if you stop forcing it to stay closed. This doesn't mean the feeling will vanish instantly, but its grip on you can loosen, allowing you more breathing room. Sometimes emotions also carry messages or insights. When you allow them to flow, without the static of resistance or rumination, you create a clearer channel to understand what that feeling might be trying to communicate, perhaps an unmet need, a boundary that needs attention, or an area that requires healing. This process of allowing your feelings to flow is not about becoming emotionless, stoic, or detached. Quite the opposite. It's about becoming more emotionally resilient, more genuinely present to your rich inner world, and more free. It allows you to experience the full spectrum of your feelings, from the most tender to the most joyful, with greater ease and less fear, knowing that you have the capacity to navigate them with mindful, compassionate awareness. This skill, this gentle allowing, is profoundly liberating, especially as you learn to quiet the voice that so often judges these very feelings, the voice of your inner critic. And as you become more adept at allowing those feelings to flow, holding them with that mindful, compassionate awareness we've been exploring, you might also become more acutely aware of another familiar voice that often chimes in, particularly when emotions are strong or when you feel vulnerable. This is the voice of your inner critic, that part of you that can be quick to judge, to find fault, or to whisper words of doubt and discouragement. Learning to understand this inner critic and to respond to its often harsh pronouncements with gentle curiosity and understanding, rather than simply believing them or fighting against them, is another profound step on your journey towards inner calm and self-acceptance, especially when you navigate the world with the depth of your finely tuned instrument. The inner critic often has a distinct tone. It might sound demanding, impatient, sarcastic, or even a bit parental in a scolding way. It tends to use words like should, must, always, or never. You should be stronger than this. You mustn't make a mistake. You're always too sensitive. You'll never get it right. For those of you who experience life with heightened sensitivity, this critic might have specific themes it returns to again and again. Perhaps it criticizes your sensitivity itself, telling you that you feel too much, that you're overreacting, or that you need to toughen up. It might echo past criticisms you've heard from others, or it might generate its own fears about being judged or misunderstood. It's incredibly common to have an inner critic. In fact, most people experience this internal voice to some degree, often reflecting societal pressures, past experiences, or learned ways of trying to keep themselves safe. The impact of this critical inner voice can be significant. It can fuel feelings of shame, anxiety, and inadequacy. It can make it harder for your emotions to flow freely, as we discussed in the last section, because it's there judging them as they arise. Don't be sad. Anger is bad. You shouldn't feel so anxious about that. This constant internal commentary can be exhausting, chipping away at your sense of self-worth and making it difficult to rest in that place of inner peace you so deserve. Learning to work with your inner critic is not about eradicating it entirely. It may always be a quiet whisper in the background for many of us, but about changing your relationship to it so its voice no longer dictates your feelings, your actions, or your sense of who you are. Our core insight here is that your inner critic, despite its harsh and often painful delivery, frequently originates from a misguided protective intention, perhaps learned in your past as a way to try and prevent pain, rejection, failure, or overwhelming experiences. It might have developed as a strategy to motivate you, to keep you from making mistakes that led to negative consequences before, or to help you fit in by preemptively pointing out what it perceived as your flaws before anyone else could. Understanding this underlying, often hidden positive intent, however clumsily expressed, allows you to meet its pronouncements not with more self-criticism or by getting into an internal battle, but with gentle curiosity and compassionate understanding. Let's try a gentle reflection, a way to begin this curious dialogue. Take a moment to gently recall a common phrase or message your inner critic tends to repeat. It might be about your sensitivity, your abilities, something you feel you should or shouldn't be doing, or perhaps a fear it often voices. Once you have a sense of this familiar message, without judging it or yourself for having it, softly and with genuine curiosity, ask that part of you internally, What are you afraid might happen if you didn't tell me this right now? What are you trying to protect me from by saying this? Just listen quietly for any subtle feeling, image, or intuitive sense that arises in response. There's no need to force an answer, just hold the question with gentleness. When you start to approach your inner critic with this kind of gentle inquiry, its power often begins to soften. You are not your inner critic. You are the awareness that can hear its voice, that can notice its patterns, and that can choose a different, kinder response. Instead of automatically believing its harsh words or trying to argue it into submission, which rarely works and often just makes it louder, you can start to relate to it more like you might relate to a frightened child who's lashing out, or an overzealous guardian who is trying too hard to keep you safe using outdated strategies. There are several gentle strategies for responding. First, simply acknowledge its presence without buying into its content. Ah, there's my inner critic again. I hear that familiar worry/judgment. This creates a little space. Then, drawing on the core insight, you might even try thanking it for its misguided attempt to protect you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe, even if the way you're expressing it feels harsh right now. This can be surprisingly disarming. Follow this with a good dose of self-compassion, that vital skill we explored earlier. If the critic says, "You're so clumsy," you can respond internally with, "It's okay, everyone makes mistakes sometimes. I can be kind to myself even when I stumble." You can also gently question its assumptions. Is it really true that I always mess this up? Or that being sensitive is only a weakness? And importantly, you can consciously invite your compassionate inner voice, your inner ally, to offer a more balanced and supportive perspective. This gentle inquiry into the critic's motives and this practice of responding with compassion can be a profound step towards deeper self-acceptance. It's about transforming an inner adversary, or at least what feels like one, into something more understandable. Its messages, once decoded with kindness, might even reveal underlying needs or legitimate concerns, just expressed in an unhelpful way. By softening your reaction to the critic, you create more space for your own authentic voice, your intuition, and your capacity to navigate your emotional currents with the wisdom and gentleness that truly reflects your sensitive nature, allowing your inherent strengths to shine through more clearly. With that inner critic a little softer, its voice a little more understood as a misguided protector rather than an absolute truth, the space it once occupied now allows for a clearer view, a gentler appreciation of the remarkable strengths woven into the very fabric of your sensitive nature. For so long, perhaps, the focus might have been on the challenges, on managing the intensity of your experiences, or on navigating a world that doesn't always seem designed for your finely tuned instrument. But now we turn towards the light, towards the often overlooked and deeply valuable gifts that your emotional depth and heightened awareness bring into your life and into the lives of those around you. It's common for sensitive individuals, especially if they've often felt misunderstood or overwhelmed by the sheer volume of what they perceive, to focus on the difficulties associated with their trade, sometimes overlooking or downplaying the remarkable gifts it simultaneously bestows. You might have even found yourself wishing at times to be less sensitive, to feel things less acutely. But what if we were to gently reframe this? What if your sensitivity isn't a flaw to be fixed, but a profound set of capacities waiting to be fully acknowledged and embraced as genuine strengths? These qualities are not separate from your sensitivity, they are born from it, nourished by your unique way of experiencing the world so vividly and processing it so deeply. Consider, for instance, your profound capacity for empathy and compassion. We touched on the delicate dance of empathy earlier, and yes, it requires care. But as a strength, your empathy allows you to connect with others on a truly meaningful level. You don't just hear what people say, you often sense the unspoken feelings beneath their words, the subtle shifts in their emotional weather. This allows you to offer support that is genuinely attuned, comfort that truly lands, and understanding that can make someone feel deeply seen and validated. In a world that often feels disconnected, your ability to forge these authentic, heart-centered connections is an incredible gift. Then there's your rich creativity and vivid imagination. Because you perceive the world with such nuance and detail, your inner landscape is often incredibly fertile. You might find yourself drawn to artistic expression, music, writing, painting, dance, or you might express your creativity in other ways, innovative problem solving, a unique sense of style, or the ability to create beautiful and comforting spaces. Your mind can make connections that others might miss, seeing patterns and possibilities that lie hidden beneath the surface. This imaginative capacity allows you to dream, to envision, and to bring a touch of beauty and originality to whatever you do. Your intuition and insight are also powerful allies. That gut feeling you sometimes get, that subtle knowing without always having a logical explanation, that's often your sensitive system processing a wealth of subtle cues, body language, tone of voice, atmospheric shifts that others might not consciously register. This intuition can guide you in making decisions, in understanding complex situations, and in discerning the true nature of people or circumstances. It's like having an inner compass that, when you learn to trust it, can navigate you with remarkable accuracy through the complexities of life. Perhaps you've already seen glimpses of these strengths in yourself, even if you didn't always label them as such or connect them directly to your sensitive nature. Our core insight here is that your emotional depth and sensitivity are not liabilities to be merely managed or overcome, but are fundamentally sources of profound, often interconnected strengths such as deep empathy, heightened intuition, rich creativity, genuine conscientiousness, and a unique capacity to appreciate the subtleties and beauty of life. These aren't just nice-to-have traits. They are powerful assets that can enrich your existence and allow you to contribute meaningfully to the world. Many highly sensitive people also possess a high degree of conscientiousness and a keen eye for detail. Because you care deeply and notice things that others might overlook, you often approach tasks with thoroughness and a desire to do things well. You might be the person who remembers the little things that make a big difference, the one who thinks through potential consequences, or the one who strives for fairness and integrity in your actions. This thoughtfulness, this commitment to quality and ethical behavior is a deeply valuable strength in any area of life, from your personal relationships to your work in the world. And of course, there is your profound appreciation for beauty and nuance. The way sunlight filters through leaves, the melody of a particular song, the intricate patterns in a spider's web, the subtle flavor in a carefully prepared meal, these things might move you deeply, bringing moments of joy, wonder, and gratitude that enrich your daily experience. While others might rush past, you have the capacity to pause and truly savor the delicate artistry of life. This ability to find beauty and meaning in the seemingly small things makes for a richer, more textured existence. Now, allow yourself a quiet moment to reflect. Gently bring to mind a time, any time at all, when your sensitivity, perhaps your ability to notice something subtle that others missed, to feel deeply for someone in a way that made a difference, to have a strong intuitive hunch that turned out to be right, or to create something beautiful, felt like a clear advantage or a genuine gift. It doesn't have to be a grand event. Just a moment where you felt, my way of being really helped here, or this part of me is truly valuable. What did that feel like in your body, in your heart? Allow yourself to just rest with that positive memory for a breath or two. Embracing these gifts, these inherent strengths of your sensitive nature, allows you to contribute to the world in ways that are uniquely yours. It's not about boasting or becoming arrogant, but about quietly, confidently owning the value you bring. Your depth of understanding, your keen perception, your compassionate heart, your creative spirit, these are all so needed. As you continue to understand and care for your sensitive self, you also create more space for these strengths to blossom and to be shared. This is not just about coping with sensitivity, but about truly thriving because of it. To truly allow these beautiful strengths of your sensitive nature to blossom, as we just explored in our last gentle reflection, and to offer yourself the consistent, kind support you so deeply deserve, it becomes incredibly helpful to consider the environments you inhabit, both the physical spaces that surround you and, just as importantly, the precious, sacred space within your own mind and heart. Cultivating calm in these areas isn't an afterthought. It's a foundational practice that can profoundly nurture your well-being and allow your finely tuned instrument to resonate with greater ease and clarity. It's perfectly natural, as someone who perceives subtleties so keenly and deeply, to be more affected by your surroundings, of the sights, sounds, smells, textures, even the emotional energies of a place, than others might be, and therefore to need environments that feel genuinely supportive and replenishing. What might feel merely distracting or slightly cluttered to someone else could feel genuinely agitating or draining to your system, which is diligently processing so much information. Recognizing this isn't about being difficult, it's about understanding your own legitimate needs. Let's first think about your external calm spaces. Your home, ideally, can become your sanctuary, a true nest where you can retreat, recharge, and feel completely at ease. This doesn't require expensive renovations or grand designs. Often, it's the small, intentional touches that make the biggest difference. Consider decluttering, as visual simplicity can be very calming for a sensitive mind. Think about colors that soothe you, perhaps soft blues, gentle greens, or warm earthy tones. Soft lighting, like lamps instead of harsh overhead lights, can create a cozier atmosphere. Comfortable textures like a soft blanket or a smooth cushion can be wonderfully grounding. Bringing elements of nature indoors, such as a few simple plants or a small water feature, can also be very restorative. The key is to create a space that feels like a gentle embrace, reflecting your own inner sense of peace. Creating these calm spaces isn't about achieving perfection, but about making small, intentional choices that contribute to a feeling of peace and replenishment for you. If you work outside the home or even in a home office, see if you can make small adjustments to that environment too. Perhaps it's using noise-canceling headphones if you're sensitive to sound, keeping your immediate workspace organized and clear, having a small plant on your desk, or choosing a calming screensaver. Even brief moments spent in nature, a walk in a park, sitting by a tree, or simply looking out at the sky can act as a powerful external calm space, recalibrating your system and washing away accumulated stress. Just as crucial, if not more so, are the internal calm spaces you cultivate within yourself. This is the sanctuary you can carry with you wherever you go. Your mental space can be nurtured through the practice of mindfulness we explored earlier, gently guiding your attention back to the present moment, allowing thoughts to pass without getting entangled in them. It involves being conscious of the information you consume, perhaps limiting exposure to distressing news or curating your social media feeds to be more uplifting and less agitating. Your emotional space is nurtured through ongoing self-compassion, allowing your feelings to flow without harsh judgment and maintaining those soft yet firm boundaries that protect your emotional energy. You might already intuitively know what kinds of environments, both inner and outer, soothe you. This is about giving yourself explicit permission to consciously prioritize and cultivate those needs. Our core insight here is that as a sensitive individual, your well-being is profoundly influenced by your environment. Consciously curating both your external physical surroundings and your internal mental and emotional landscape to foster calm, order, and beauty is not an indulgence, but a vital act of self-care and empowerment that supports your entire system. This conscious creation of serene spaces allows your nervous system to settle, reducing that feeling of being constantly on alert or easily overwhelmed, and providing a gentle buffer against the often chaotic energies of the outer world. Now, let's try a gentle reflective exercise. You can choose one of two paths, or perhaps both at different times. First, take a moment to imagine your ideal calm physical space. If you could create a room or a corner that felt perfectly peaceful and restorative to you, what would it look like? What sounds, scents, or textures would be present? Hold that image gently in your mind. Now think of one very small element from that ideal vision. Perhaps a particular color you could introduce with a cushion, a type of plant you could acquire, a commitment to declutter one small shelf, or a specific calming scent you could diffuse that you could gently introduce into your current environment this week. Alternatively, you might prefer to cultivate an inner space. If so, gently close your eyes for a moment and imagine a peaceful, safe inner sanctuary just for you. It could be a beautiful garden, a quiet library, a peaceful beach, anywhere that feels serene and secure. What does it feel like to be there? Notice the qualities of this inner place. Know that you can return to this inner sanctuary mentally anytime you need a moment of quiet, a brief retreat. There's a beautiful interplay between your inner and outer spaces. A calmer, more ordered external environment can certainly help to cultivate a sense of inner calm. And a more established inner calm can help you navigate less than ideal external environments with greater resilience and ease. Nurturing these calm spaces, both outside and in, allows your sensitive system to rest, recharge, and return to its natural state of balance. This, in turn, makes it so much easier to access those wonderful strengths we talked about: your empathy, your creativity, your intuition, and to engage with the world from a place of centeredness and peace, fostering deeper and more authentic connections with others. Coming from that place of centeredness and peace, nurtured within your calm inner and outer spaces that we just envisioned, you might find that your sensitive nature, far from being a barrier, can actually be a beautiful bridge to forming connections that resonate with a truly gentle and authentic heart. While the intensity of your perceptions and emotions can sometimes make navigating the social world feel complex, the very qualities that define your sensitivity also equip you for relationships of profound depth and meaning, if you allow them to guide you with wisdom and self-compassion. It's true that forming connections can sometimes feel more complex, or perhaps even a bit more intense when you're highly sensitive, as you may crave a depth of understanding and a level of genuine relating that isn't always readily found in more casual or superficial interactions. You might find small talk a bit unsatisfying, or feel a longing for conversations that touch upon what truly matters. This isn't a failing on your part, it's a reflection of your capacity to perceive and value the richness that lies beneath the surface of things, including the intricate, beautiful, and sometimes unspoken world of human connection. Think about how your sensitivity can be a remarkable asset in fostering these deeper bonds. Your inherent empathy, that ability to feel with others, which we've explored, allows you to be an incredibly attuned and compassionate listener. When you offer your presence to someone, you're often able to hear not just their words, but the subtle emotional music playing beneath them. This can make people feel genuinely seen, understood, and validated in a way that is deeply nourishing and rare. You might be the friend someone turns to when they need to feel truly heard without judgment, because your finely tuned instrument can pick up on their unspoken needs and respond with genuine care. Your desire for deep, genuine connection isn't a flaw, it's a testament to your capacity for love and your appreciation for true relating. Furthermore, your tendency to notice subtleties means you often pick up on the small things that can make a big difference in relationships. You might remember a fleeting comment someone made that revealed a vulnerability or a passion, and you might respond to that with thoughtfulness later on. You might sense when a friend is feeling a bit off, even if they say everything is fine, allowing you to offer quiet support or a gentle inquiry. This attentiveness, born from your perceptive nature, can make your loved ones feel cherished and deeply considered. Our core insight here is that when your sensitivity is understood and honored, both by yourself and ideally by those you connect with, it becomes a powerful asset in relationships, enabling you to perceive emotional nuances, offer profound empathy, and cultivate connections that are exceptionally authentic, deeply meaningful, and rich with mutual understanding. It allows for a quality of relating that goes beyond the surface, touching the heart of what it means to be human and to share this journey with others. Of course, for these strengths to truly flourish in your relationships, that ongoing practice of self-awareness, self-compassion, and maintaining those gentle boundaries we've discussed remains vital. Understanding your own needs as a sensitive person, perhaps your need for downtime after social interaction, your preference for quieter environments for meaningful conversation, or your need for emotional honesty, and being able to communicate these needs kindly allows you to participate in relationships in a way that feels sustainable and joyful rather than depleting. It's about honoring your own wiring while also honoring the connection. You might find that the people who truly appreciate your sensitive heart are those who also value depth, kindness, and authenticity in their own lives, and who are willing to meet you in that space of mutual respect. Let's try a gentle reflection on this. Take a moment to think about a connection in your life that feels particularly meaningful or authentic to you, or perhaps one that you aspire to cultivate. What is one quality in that connection that you truly cherish? Perhaps it's the feeling of being deeply understood, the space for complete honesty, or the comfort of shared vulnerability. Now, gently consider how your own sensitive nature, your ability to feel deeply, to notice subtleties, to listen with your whole heart, either contributes to creating that cherished quality or deeply values its presence in the connection. Acknowledge that contribution, that resonance within yourself. It's also important to remember that not all connections need to be profoundly deep, and that's perfectly okay. We have different kinds of relationships in our lives, and some may be lighter or more activity-based. Discernment, guided by your intuition, helps you understand which connections are likely to offer the depth and authenticity your heart seeks and where to invest your precious relational energy. Nurturing relationships that honor your sensitive nature isn't about finding perfect people or demanding that everyone meet your every need, but about fostering connections where there's a mutual respect for each other's way of being, a willingness to meet with open hearts, and a shared appreciation for the beauty of genuine relating. Such connections become a soft place to land, a space where your sensitive heart can feel truly at home, allowing you to more fully embrace and express your authentic self in all its richness. This beautiful experience of being truly at home in your connections, of feeling safe to express your authentic self with those who resonate with your gentle heart, as we just reflected upon, paves the way for an even deeper acceptance, the profound and liberating act of fully embracing your innate design as a sensitive individual. It's a movement from merely understanding or managing your sensitivity to truly deeply honoring it as an integral and valuable part of who you are without apology or reservation. It's a common journey for many sensitive people to have moments or even long periods of wishing they could just turn down their sensitivity, to feel less, to be less affected by the world around them, to fit in more easily with what seems to be a less reactive norm. You might have absorbed messages, perhaps from early experiences or from a society that often prizes toughness over tenderness, that your way of being was somehow too much or not enough. This can lead to a subtle or not so subtle internal pressure to try and change your fundamental nature, to build higher walls, or to numb your keen perceptions. But what if the greatest peace comes not from trying to be different, but from radically accepting yourself exactly as you are designed? This journey of understanding your inner self often begins with learning to cope, to manage the overwhelm, to navigate the intensity. Those are vital first steps, the skills we've been gently exploring together. But there's a place beyond mere management, a sunlit clearing of true embrace. This isn't about suddenly becoming immune to the challenges that can come with being highly attuned. You will still feel things deeply, you will still notice the subtleties that others miss, and you will still need to care for your energy. The shift, however, is that you begin to hold those challenges with far greater self-compassion and understanding, no longer viewing your core nature as the problem to be solved, but as the very lens through which you experience the richness of life. Honoring your authentic self fully in this context means giving yourself permission to trust your perceptions, even if others don't share them. It means validating your emotional responses, even the intense ones, understanding that they are carrying information from your deeply feeling self. It means living in closer alignment with your values, justice, compassion, beauty, authenticity, which are often so strong and clear within sensitive souls. It means no longer feeling you have to apologize for your needs, whether it's your need for more quiet time, for deeper conversations, for environments that soothe rather than agitate, or for relationships built on genuine connection. You begin to see these not as inconvenient demands, but as legitimate requirements for your well-being, as essential as air and water. Our core insight here is that true self-acceptance for you as a sensitive person involves a radical and loving embrace of your innate way of experiencing the world, not as a flaw to be fixed or merely managed, but as the very essence of who you are, complete with its unique challenges and its equally profound inherent gifts. It's about saying a wholehearted yes to your fundamental nature, to the intricate and beautiful design of your finely tuned instrument. It's about understanding that your way of being is not a mistake, but a variation of human experience that holds its own inherent wisdom and purpose. There is such profound freedom and relief that comes when you finally stop fighting against yourself, when you lay down the burden of trying to be someone you are not. The energy that was once consumed by resisting your sensitivity, by trying to suppress your feelings, or by worrying about how you are perceived can now be redirected towards nurturing yourself, expressing your unique strengths, and engaging with life from a place of authentic presence. It's like taking off a heavy coat that you've been wearing for far too long and finally feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin. Let's try a gentle affirmation or a small act of permission right now. Take a gentle breath, and if it feels comfortable and right for you, silently offer yourself a kind and empowering affirmation. It could be something like, I give myself permission to be all of who I am, including my sensitive heart and my deep way of experiencing the world. Or perhaps, I embrace my sensitivity as a source of strength and wisdom. Feel the gentle resonance of those words within you. Let them settle softly. Alternatively, perhaps later, when you have a quiet moment, you could write yourself a little permission slip. On a small piece of paper, write down, "I give myself permission to," and then list 1 or 2 ways you will honor your sensitive nature today or this week. Maybe it's permission to take a break when you need it, permission to feel your emotions without judgment, or permission to seek out beauty. You might notice that as you more fully embrace your design, you also unlock even more of those incredible strengths we talked about: your empathy, creativity, intuition, and conscientiousness. These qualities flourish in the fertile soil of self-acceptance. When you're not spending energy trying to be different, those inherent gifts have more space to shine and to be shared. Remember, the world needs your unique way of perceiving and feeling. Your sensitivity, when embraced with love and understanding, is a profound contribution, not a deficit. It brings a depth, a consideration, and a capacity for connection that enriches the human tapestry. This embrace of your true self is the ultimate act of inner kindness, a homecoming to the beautiful soul you have always been. This profound homecoming to your authentic, sensitive self, this deep embrace we just explored, isn't a final destination to be reached, but rather the beginning of a beautiful, ongoing path, a way of living daily with more sustained inner calm and self-understanding. You've journeyed so thoughtfully through these gentle reflections, gathering threads of insight, and now the invitation is to weave these threads into the fabric of your everyday life, creating a tapestry of gentle awareness and self-care that can support you through all of life's seasons. Remember the gentle embrace of understanding your sensitivity, not as a burden, but as that finely tuned instrument. We then learn to map those emotional currents and triggers with curiosity, listening to your body's quiet wisdom for its honest messages and finding ways to ease the feeling of overwhelm when small anxieties felt large. We explore the delicate dance of empathy and the profound importance of nurturing self-compassion, that kind inner voice that soothes and supports. You discovered the strength in setting soft boundaries to protect your energy and found calm anchors in mindfulness, allowing feelings to flow through you without judgment. We looked at understanding the inner critic's whisper with gentle curiosity and then joyfully uncovered the hidden strengths and unique advantages that bloom from your emotional depth. You learned to cultivate calm spaces, both externally and internally, and saw how your sensitivity can be a bridge to authentic, meaningful connections, all leading to this fuller embrace of your unique design. Each of these explorations is a gentle thread, and together they form a rich understanding. It's perfectly natural that life will continue to present its ebbs and flows, its moments of joy and its periods of challenge. The aim of this journey together hasn't been to eliminate all discomfort or to create an unshakable shield against difficulty. Rather, it's been about cultivating greater self-awareness, deeper compassion, and a more resilient inner resourcefulness, so you can navigate whatever arises with more grace and inner peace. Sustaining this doesn't mean you have to perfectly implement every single idea all the time. That would be another pressure, and we're about gentleness here. Instead, it's about integration, about choosing 1 or 2 small, consistent practices that resonate most with you and gently weaving them into the rhythm of your days. Perhaps it's starting your morning with a few mindful breaths, simply noticing the sensation of being present before the day fully begins. Maybe it's a commitment to pause once during your day to check in with your body, asking, "What am I feeling right now? What do I need?" It could be consciously offering yourself a word of self-compassion when you notice that inner critic pipe up, or making a small adjustment to your environment to create a greater sense of calm. Remember, this path is one of gentle unfolding. There will be days of clarity and ease, and other days that feel more challenging, where your sensitivity feels more acute, and all are part of your unique journey. The key is to meet all of these experiences with that same gentle understanding. Our core insight for this gentle conclusion of our main exploration is that sustaining inner calm and self-understanding as a sensitive person is an ongoing, gentle practice of integrating the awareness and tools you've gathered, like self-compassion, mindfulness, and boundary setting, into the rhythm of your daily life, treating each day as an opportunity to kindly reconnect with your authentic self and your needs. It's not a checklist to complete, but a way of being to cultivate, moment by moment, breath by breath. Continue to be a gentle observer of your own experience. Notice your needs as they arise, your need for rest, for connection, for solitude, for creative expression, for beauty. Keep practicing those soft boundaries that honor your energy. When overwhelm threatens, return to your anchors, your breath, a calming image, a soothing sensation. And above all, let self-compassion be the constant, gentle hum beneath everything you do. Forgive yourself readily for perceived missteps or for days when you feel less resilient. You are human, and your sensitivity is part of that beautiful humanity. As we near the end of our journey together for tonight, take a moment to gently consider one small practice or insight from our time together that feels most resonant or particularly helpful for you right now. It could be a new understanding, a simple technique, or a comforting perspective. How might you carry that one gentle thread with you into your coming days as a soft reminder, a quiet anchor, or a source of gentle strength? Trust that this one thread, tended with care, can make a significant difference. You now possess a beautiful tapestry of insights and gentle tools. The art lies in weaving them into your daily life with kindness and patience, not pressure. Each time you choose understanding over judgment, compassion over criticism, presence over distraction, you are strengthening your connection to your calm, wise, authentic self. You are watering the seeds of lasting inner peace, and that is a truly beautiful way to live. And so, our shared time of gentle exploration, this soft journey into the heart of your emotional sensitivity, begins to draw to a peaceful close for tonight. Allow the rhythm of your breath to deepen now, each inhale drawing in a sense of quiet comfort, each exhale releasing any lingering tension, any thoughts that no longer serve you in this moment of transition towards rest. You've navigated through so many gentle insights, honoring the unique way you perceive and feel the world, and that in itself is a profound act of kindness towards your beautiful self. Remember that the calm you've touched upon, the understanding you've cultivated, these are not fleeting things. They are capacities within you, resources you can return to time and time again. Like a well-tended garden, your inner landscape will continue to flourish with ongoing gentle attention. There is no need to strive or force. Simply allow the seeds of self-awareness and compassion we've explored together to settle deep within your heart, trusting that they will grow in their own time, in their own beautiful way. As you prepare for sleep, imagine a soft, protective light enveloping you, a cocoon of serenity and peace. Let it soothe every part of your being, from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head, melting away any remaining cares of the day. Know that you are deserving of this deep rest, this complete replenishment. Allow yourself to drift, to float, to be carried into a sleep that is profoundly restorative, a sleep that allows your sensitive system to recalibrate and renew. May your dreams be gentle, and may you awaken feeling a little more at home within yourself, a little more connected to the quiet strength and tender wisdom that resides within your sensitive heart.